It was a quiet Sunday afternoon, but the sky was about to witness something so unthinkable it would change how we fly forever.
This isn't just some random number. It's the deadliest figure in the entire history of commercial aviation. 583 people gone. And the craziest part? They weren't even in the air.
So how on earth did two of the most advanced jets in the world end up colliding on the same runway? Well, the answer isn't just one simple mistake. It's a terrifying chain of events, a domino effect that uncovered a deep flaw in the system we all trusted. The investigation that followed this rewrote the rulebook for flying, literally forever. And look, if you want to get into more stories like this, the ones that reveal the hidden mechanics of our world, go ahead and subscribe, because today we're going to break down how this one single tragedy is the reason we're all so safe when we fly. All right, so let's set the scene. We're not in the air, we're on the ground. A small, usually quiet airport on the island of Tenerife. But on this day, it was thrown into absolute chaos, about to become the backdrop for aviation's darkest moment.
I mean, you couldn't make this up. It was a perfect storm of just awful luck. A problem at the main airport meant a ton of flights, including two huge Boeing 747s, had to divert to this little airport. It got crowded fast. So crowded, they had to use the one and only runway as a taxiway. And then, as if things weren't bad enough, a thick wall of fog rolled in. Visibility? Basically zero.
So, picture this. In that blinding fog, a KLM 747 starts barreling down the runway for takeoff. The pilots have no idea, absolutely no idea, that the Pan Am 747 is still on that runway, taxiing right in front of them. The result was catastrophic. Just an unimaginable inferno. When the smoke finally cleared, the toll was just staggering. 583 lives lost. That number, it still haunts the aviation world. Okay, so after the dust settles, the investigators show up, and they're facing this horrifying puzzle. It wasn't a broken engine, not a simple mechanical thing. No, they realized pretty quickly they were looking at a whole chain of failures. Human error, botched communications, and, deep, deep flaws in the system itself.
So, was it just one pilot's mistake? A technical glitch? Or was it something much, much deeper? To really get it, you can't just point a finger at one person. You need a totally different way to look at accidents. A model that shows how a bunch of tiny, seemingly harmless things can line up to create a total disaster.
And that brings us to something called the Swiss cheese model. It's a pretty brilliant way to think about it. Imagine every safety measure we have, pilot training, air traffic control, all of it is a slice of Swiss cheese. Each slice has some holes, right? Those are the potential flaws, the little mistakes. Normally, the solid part of one slice covers the hole on the next one. You're safe. But every once in a while,
the holes line up perfectly. And that creates a straight shot right through all the defenses. Investigators call it an accident trajectory, a clear path to disaster. So let's use this idea. Let's slice through the evidence from that day in Tenerife and see where the holes were.
So let's look at the Tenerife disaster through this lens. We're about to see exactly how those layers of defense failed, one by one, creating this cascade of errors where all the holes just lined up.
Okay, slice number one, the preconditions. This slice was already riddled with holes. First, the KLM crew was running out of time on their legal duty hours, so there was huge pressure to get in the air, fast. Add to that, an airport they didn't know well, confusing radio language being used, and, this is critical, a simultaneous radio transmission that garbled a key message. The stage was already set.
and this was one of the biggest holes. A KLM pilot radios to the tower. Okay, we are now at takeoff. Now, think about that. Is that a question? Is he saying we're taking off now? Or is he just reporting his position? It was so ambiguous. And in all that confusion, it was tragically misinterpreted. It was not a takeoff clearance.
And here it is, the final, fatal error. The KLM captain, feeling all that pressure, genuinely believing he was clear to go, he pushed the throttles forward. He starts rolling down the runway without a clear, explicit go from the tower. He even brushed off a worried question from his own flight engineer. And in that one moment, all the holes in the cheese aligned. The path to disaster was now wide open.
But the investigation found something deeper. Something that wasn't about the plane or the rulebook. It was about the culture inside the cockpit. Back then, there was this rigid hierarchy. The captain was, well, he was God. His word was law. And that created a situation where a junior officer, even if he saw something terribly wrong, didn't feel like he could strongly challenge a captain's deadly decision. Realizing this, well, it sparked a revolution.
So, out of this absolute tragedy, a new idea was born. It's called Crew Resource Management, or CRM, and it was a huge deal. The whole point was to get rid of that strict hierarchy, to empower everyone in the cockpit, the first officer, the flight engineer, to speak up, to challenge the captain if they think something's wrong. It's an idea so powerful, it's not just in planes anymore, they use it in operating rooms too.
And the change was night and day. Before CRM, the captain was the absolute authority. After CRM, the cockpit became a team. Communication went from this top-down, yes sir kind of thing to an open, assertive conversation. It wasn't about one person's power anymore. It was about everyone sharing the responsibility for getting the plane on the ground safely.
But this revolution didn't just stay in the cockpit. Nope. The entire global aviation system was about to be redesigned from the ground up. And the lessons learned from that foggy runway in Tenerife, they were burned into every single new rule.
First thing, they got rid of the confusion. They created a new, standardized language for pilots and controllers. The word takeoff, for example, is now sacred. You only hear it when you are absolutely 100% cleared to go. Every instruction has to be read back word for word. And they installed things like ground radar at big airports, so controllers could finally see through the fog. And then there's the tech. They made new systems mandatory to act as a final safety net. You've probably heard of TCAS, the Traffic Collision Avoidance System. It's basically a system that lets airplanes talk to each other. If they get too close, it gives pilots a warning. And if it's really critical, it will literally tell one pilot to climb and the other to descend. It's an automated lifesaver.
And just look at how quickly things changed. Right after the disaster in '77, you see CRM programs start. By the '90s, both CRM and TCAS are global standards. This one event forced an entire industry to completely rethink safety, and it's what built the incredibly safe system we all count on today.
So when you look back, the real legacy of Tenerife isn't about blaming one person, it's about a massive shift in thinking. It's about understanding that disasters don't just happen because of one mistake, they happen because systems fail. And it taught us how to build systems that are strong enough to handle the fact that, humans make mistakes.
And that's really the heart of it. We went from asking who messed up to asking what in the system allowed this to happen. It's a completely different mindset. The goal isn't to find a scapegoat, it's to find the holes in the cheese and patch them up so they can never, ever line up again.
This quote here really nails it. Every single time you or I step onto an airplane, we are wrapped in a blanket of safety that was forged in the fire of this tragedy. It's a system built from the hard lessons learned on that day. The 583 people who lost their lives, their loss truly wasn't in vain.
So yeah, we've built this incredible system. We have so many layers of protection. The training, the technology, the procedures. But at the end of the day, there's still a human at the controls making a decision. And that leaves us with a pretty tough question to chew on. Can we ever build a system so perfect that it completely eliminates the risk of one person making one bad call at the absolute worst moment? I'd love to know what you think in the comments.